Hi, this is Lynn again. We left off with the prophecies of Jesus in terms of his family tree. And then we mentioned that Matthew was able to go to the records because they kept really, really accurate records because everybody wanted to know if they were going to be in the family line of the Messiah. So they kept these really accurate family records down through the centuries. And I mentioned that Matthew mentioned these references. And it would have been interesting to just, it would have been easy to disprove. So the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and this is an important fact to remember because a lot of people ask, well, how can you validate the Bible? Well, the Bible actually validates itself, and you have to look at it in terms of individual books. It's no more circular reasoning than if you were to take a Reader's Digest condensed version with all the different stories in it. And, because they're different authors. So there you have it in terms of that family lineage. So they could have disproven it easily to say, wait a minute, we know who we have this, in the records, and that Jesus did not come from the family of David because he came from this other family, and there's no record of his descendants written in these records. So it would have been easy to disprove. And this is just one example, and I'm going to bring them up. Try to remember to bring them up every time we have this discussion about how easy it is for the Bible to validate itself. Nobody disproved it. Nobody said if none of his enemies even disproved it. Nobody came and says, no, he didn't come from the family line of David. It was just that he claimed to be the Son of God. That was the issue that they had. But then he validated that he was the Son of God by all the miracles that he did. So, actually in other writings outside of the Bible, they mentioned that he did miracles. They called it sorcery. But of course it wasn't. He validated he was the Son of God because he was sinless. And that was prophesied about, and we'll talk about that too later. That he was sinless, and that no less than 5 different writers in the New Testament said he was sinless. And if he weren't sinless, somebody said, wait a minute, remember that off-colored joke that he told? Oh, wait a minute. Remember when he did this and did that? His mother wouldn't have worshipped him if he wasn't sinless. Neither would his siblings, who also worshipped him later. So, there's logic. You got to use some reason and logic. It clearly validates that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and he clearly came from the lineage of David. Okay, but let's go through some of the other ones. Psalm 45:6. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever. A scepter of righteousness is the scepter of your kingdom. You love righteousness and hate wickedness. Therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companions. Of old you laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the works of your hand. They will perish, but you will endure. Yes, all of them will grow old like a garment, and like a cloak you will change them, and they will be changed. But you are the same, and your years will have no end. So this is what it says in Hebrews about that. But to the Son of Man, he says, your throne, O God, is forever and ever. So there's the writer in Hebrew, and it just goes on to repeat the verses that I had read to you that was in the Psalm. So it goes on to validate the person who writing this, which we think was Paul, validating this claim. And again, nobody tried to go out of their way to disprove it. But here's Micah 5:2. He'd be born in Bethlehem, but you, O Bethlehem, and I slaughter names, so just kind of bear with me. Ephrathah, though you are little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth to me, and one to be the ruler of Israel. And those going forth have been from old, from everlasting. So it's also talking about the eternity of God. And in Luke, and Joseph also went from Galilee out of the city of Nazareth into Judas. This is Luke 2:4. To the city of David, which is also called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the lineage of David, to be registered with Mary, his betrothed wife. So you have somebody there validating the fact that he was actually born in Bethlehem. And in fact, when the wise men came, they said, well, where is the Messiah to be born? And they looked in the scripture. Well, they already knew it. They said Bethlehem. So we can validate that. And again, how do we know that that's true? How do we know that Jesus was born from Bethlehem? Well, again, his mother was there when they were writing this stuff. He said, no, we're not from. But so everybody knew that he was from Bethlehem. His brothers did, his siblings, all of his friends and relatives. Nobody disputed that. So I want to thank you again for this family devotion, for being here, and help us encouraging your faith to think of things in the light of the historiosity and the reasoning aspect of it's just reasonable to believe that Jesus Christ was the Son of God. See you next time.